like the SEC and the ETF. Fake ETF approved. SEC is the ticker.
Gary.
SEC Classic. Oh my God.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the RCC pod. This episode was recorded right before the Bitcoin ETF went out, so some of the information is still relevant, but just want to give you a heads up there, and just wanted to give everyone a reminder that everything that is contained within this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own research. So let's dive in, and hope everyone enjoys.
All right. What is up, man?
Hey, man. How are you?
Doing all right.
Nice.
Yeah, how's your New Year, man?
It was good, man. I spent it here in sunny Colombia. So I've been down here for 2 weeks now, actually. Came out 2 weeks ago, and we spent it in Cartagena, which is kind of their, I would say it's their version of Miami, essentially. It's beach town, kind of really laid back. You know, it's got a nice little downtown area, so they have all these tables set up all over the place, and I guess people just come out and take a table and, you know, with friends and family and party, basically.
Oh yeah,
a lot of salsa music, you know, tons and tons of salsa music. So yeah, it's been a good time.
That's awesome.
How about you?
Pretty much just hung out in Brooklyn, had a bunch of friends over for New Year's Eve, so just soaking in the cold, freezing wind, rain weather while I still can.
Yeah, I keep hearing about the crappy weather you guys are having right now.
Yeah, it's garbage. I just wake up and it's dark out, and my body doesn't know how to wake up. So welcome back to all of our listeners. Hope everyone had an awesome New Year's, and we're kind of going into 2024 with a little bit of spice.
Yep.
I would say. And I can't say it was off to the best start. I feel like this is going to be a pretty crazy year.
Yes.
So much.
If this past, you know, week or so was any indication, I agree. Especially today. Today was a pretty weird day. So, I mean, we all knew that the ETF was coming this week, right? Whether approval or denial, but I think most people assume that there's going to be an approval. It's like a 99%, you know, chance. You know, myself included. I thought, you know, it's in the bag. So then today we get a tweet from Gary Gensler. I forget whether, I think it was the SEC official, and then they said, you know, oh, it's approved, and the tweet looked pretty legitimate. I mean, it had a picture of Gary Gensler. It had, you know, it looked very legitimate. And then like 15, 20 minutes later, Gary Gensler comes out saying it was fake. So, or it was like illegitimate or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, pretty insane. Yeah, I guess we can kind of get into that. We'll get into that maybe next. But yeah, what are you seeing with the markets overall, like going into 2024 so far?
Yeah. Man, to be honest, I feel like the market really hasn't moved much since the last episode that we had. It's been kind of sideways because we're just waiting for this ETF announcement. There was this past weekend was kind of interesting. It seemed like there was a shakeout of the longs that happened this past weekend, because like things dipped quite a bit, like especially some of the alts that I've been looking at. They really got taken down, and I think that was just like to flush out the longs. But now that they've come back up, so I think it's just people seeing opportunities to flush some leverage out of the system that shouldn't be there. And, you know, but besides that, I mean, there's nothing too crazy. There's one token that I'm looking at called Power Ledger, and so hold on, I'm trying to find this guy. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen and show you this. This chart's pretty wild.
Yeah, interesting.
I haven't seen this in a while.
It's pretty high too. I guess it's taking an aggregate of everything, but
oh wow, they have it right there now. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess they didn't used to have that there.
But, they just did a UI update, CoinGecko, right? I think it's like Monday. They unrolled it.
But yeah, CoinGecko.
Honestly, no, this is CoinMarketCap. Never mind.
So yeah, this is.
Yeah, we've been in greed territory for a few months now.
Yeah.
I think end of October. So yeah, 2.5 months. So, I mean, if you look at Fear Greed, it says we should be, we should have a dump pretty soon. But I mean, we've never had an ETF before, so this could all be just a wash at this point. Yeah, so let me just show you this.
It's 72 out of 100 right now. I think we enter green territory around above 60. Looks like.
All right, okay. Oh boy, that's all right. Wow, that's pretty trippy, actually. Okay, so Power Ledger, it's essentially like a platform for trading energy. So they're doing like clean energy, like let's say you have solar panels and you generate excess electricity. You could sell your excess electricity to someone else using this platform. So I got into this a while ago, like years ago, because I thought it was a good idea and I've just been holding it. And this past weekend, it went from 38 cents to $1.25 and then back to 38 cents. So it went up 200% and then dropped 70% within like a week.
Oh my God. What's the market cap and like the volume on this?
Average volume 30 days, 2 million. Trading volume. Okay, so the past 24 hours there's been 262 million. So way above the average. It's only a 200 million market cap though. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, stuff like this has happened in the past. It does do moves like this. Like you see here in July, it happened, but on a much smaller scale. And then in October, it happened. But I don't know. I'm noticing that was just really wild to see that. Index did something similar to this a few weeks back too. Index DAO.
It's an interesting concept. I'm curious curious what like the hardware looks like here. Cause I know traditionally you could like sell it back to the power company, but I guess it's super, there's how you like trust that the power company is giving you like a fair deal.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't really, I don't have solar panels or anything, but I do know that it's running on ETH. I think there's some parts that run on ETH and there's another part that runs on Solana actually. So like when I had to set it up for staking, I had to use my MetaMask and my Phantom wallet at the same time. Ooh. So it seems like they're like, there's, I don't know how that they do that, but I know they're on Solana too. So it's another reason why I liked it. But it does have these crazy moves. As long as it's trending up, I'm fine with it. But I really should have kept someone staked just to play this pump because I would have liked to have sold up there and bought back in now. But it's all right.
Yeah, that is insane.
But like for the general market, like one thing I noticed right away when this ETF thing came out was pretty interesting to see like the reaction that the markets had. So BTC dominance was up. It was like at 55+%, right? Before the ETF announcement. And then after it came out, it just dumped. So it was actually, I think it was higher than this. I don't know. This is a weird print, unless this is wrong. But this just like reversed the trend right when the ETF announcement came out. And ETH BTC pumped. So ETH BTC was actually trending lower than the June low. So it was, June low was 0.049 and we were at 0.047, 0.048. So it looked like it was going to capitulate and just keep dumping, which would have been really bad for ETH. But then that ETF announcement came out and we're right back up. So I found that quite interesting. It says that, it says that ETH could have a turnaround here, and then when we get the actual announcement tomorrow, if we still get it, who even knows at this point that the market has chosen the next direction here. So like in a weird way, the market showed its hand here.
Right. Yeah, I think in the previous announcement, maybe I think the rumor like it was like front ran, so there wasn't like a chance to like sell the news. So I think that's why we saw that huge pump initially. But now I think everyone's so prepared for it that it is like a clear sell the news event. Although I think like because it would be like after hours, so I don't think even like you wouldn't even be able to use the BTC ETF yet. Like when this was announced, I think the announcement came at like 4 p.m. or something from like the hack tweet. But so maybe there is like this high volatility where there is like dumping, and then maybe there's like a slow pouring in over the next 6 months that like slowly kind of builds support for Bitcoin. But yeah, I do think that this is like the cycle peak for Bitcoin, or at least for the short term of just like this is the hypiest thing for Bitcoin in the short term. So.
I definitely could see something like that happening, especially with like, if I'm, just looking at this chart, like the BTC dominance chart, it is printing a story of like, lower momentum here. Like this high up was on a lower momentum. But, I mean, yeah, typically what happens is the BTC dominance rolls over and then ETH kind of takes the lead after that. But it's really hard to say. I mean, once this ETF comes out for Bitcoin, I mean, if you had to ask me, I feel like Bitcoin is just going to keep the dominance is just going to go higher for a while, at least for another few months. But maybe I'm wrong there. And then if we get the ETH ETF discussion to start happening, then things might start to change where people start front running the ETH ETF announcement. But again, I don't really know. I don't have too much info on the ETH one, or even if there's advanced discussion happening there or anything.
Yeah, I still fall under the camp based on my chat with someone who's involved with like the ETF work that Ethereum is just too hard to implement. I need to review the exact policy that they were referring to because I don't have it off the top of my head, but something relating to the withdrawal queue that Ethereum has. You can't really withdraw large batches of Ethereum quickly. So I think there is significantly different dynamics regarding the Ethereum ETF. So I do think that there has been maybe some confusion on Twitter. And I would not have known this unless I was talking to this person who was working in that facility, like to explain it. But yeah, I think there's a higher chance to like get Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin or like these other like proof of work coins. Maybe Solana if you even have like instantaneous withdrawals. I'm not sure if you do. I think there might be like multi-hour periods, but
there's like a 2-day wait if you're unstaking Solana. Okay. So yeah, it might have some of the same issues, but essentially what it boils down to is that dynamic of if you have an ETF, you're going to stake some of it, right? So you have to have some portion of it not staked. So if you get a massive amount of withdrawals, you're able to fulfill those requests, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a challenge for the Ethereum community. That's like seems to be like very like they just really want to like have also equivalent hypey exciting news that Bitcoin's having here, but I think they're going to probably have to wait a bit longer for the system to like catch up to like the proof of stake mechanics.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I think people are just very excited about these ETFs, and they think, oh, the domino effect of Bitcoin gets one, and now all of a sudden, like all these other cryptos are going to get one too. But that might, that might not be how it works out, and it also depends on, like, just because Bitcoin got an ETF, like we have to see the actual rollout of that and what happens, right? Like if it turns out to just be a mess, over the next few months, then they might not want to do another ETF for a while.
Right.
So
really quickly before we move on to like the dumb tweet situation that's happening, but
sure.
Can we see like Solana Ethereum? I'm just curious where that's
I got that. Okay. Ooh. Okay, it's actually down quite a bit today. Yeah, that makes sense because ETH did well today against Solana, actually. So yeah, we may be looking at, for all of 2023, it was basically, the chart was basically the same as Solana because ETH didn't move as much.
Yeah.
But now it seems like ETH may be catching up here. So Solana's been, ever since the year started, it's down. It's basically at the same level. I mean, nothing's really moved a lot, really. It's just been kind of wavering. But Sol ETH is down quite a bit today.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Well, I guess let's see if ETH is gonna come out from its hibernation and wake everyone else up.
Yeah.
No, we're all waiting for that.
I like to think it. I personally think it will. I think everyone just loves to hate on ETH right now because of its performance last year. But they got these upgrades coming out in a couple months, and ETH just has some of the most talented developers in the ecosystem on it, and I just think that's gonna eventually be reflected in the price at some point.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely hard to erode all of that in like a single year.
Sure.
So, yeah, no, I agree with that. And maybe now is a good time to move on to the
tweets.
ETF little faux pas today.
Yeah, let's see. How do you want to do this? The official tweet got deleted by the SEC, so I can't go look it up.
Yeah, let's see if I think I have some screenshots, but
yeah,
I might not have a screenshot of that one, but
I have. Hold on, I have one from someone posted it in our chat, so I could show that. Let me just get the screen up. I don't want to show our whole chat first. Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess to preface this, like we knew this week sometime between Monday and Wednesday, I think there's some deadline expiring. We knew that we would be expecting it likely by Wednesday. So it's end of Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Then prior to that, the fees have been released of the different providers that are going to be offering it. So yeah, I don't even know if you're able to pull up the Reuters one, but yes. Okay, so this is the official one.
This is the tweet, yeah.
Okay.
So this was the tweet by the SEC. And I mean, this looks pretty legit to me. I don't suspect like any. I mean, it looked legit. Like, and that's why there was a lot of speculation that like they actually had this queued up, and someone just fat fingered it essentially and just pushed it out without really like. Maybe they were supposed to schedule it, and instead they just like pushed it out immediately, or something. Versus like the whole it got hacked story, which doesn't, people think that's a lie. But
yeah, it's very interesting. And then I guess, for anyone listening, it just basically says today the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing in all registered securities exchanges. The approved ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. And I think this comes off the heels of another tweet from Gary where he's talking about like, oh, the crypto industry is still so risky and like you need to like stay away almost. It's like very kind of strange. But yeah, I would think like if you messed up the scheduling, like saying you were hacked, I feel like opens a whole nother can of worms about like your operational security, like just negligence and all sorts of other issues. And then, there's like a lot of memes about that too.
And also the irony of just going on a 2-day spiel, telling us all to protect ourselves, and then you getting hacked and having your tweet account hijacked, or at least you claim that, it's like, they got some egg on their face here.
Yeah.
Big time. I just hope that they don't try to. I mean, imagine if tomorrow they're just like, yeah, we rejected it because it's people are hacking our accounts and stuff, and I don't know. Like it just doesn't look good for them. It's really not a good look for them.
Yeah, that looks terrible. Would I be able to screen share this part here? So I have just like queued up various screen caps from just the fallout here. Some easy red meat. And so I mean, basically starting off as far as the fees go. So basically Bitwise is going to be the lowest, 0.24%, 0.54% average for all US ETF products. And then, VanEck will be 0.25%. And then ARK and 21 shares are lowering there from 0.8% to 0.25%. BlackRock's will be 0.3%. So, yeah, we will be seeing essentially what will be going on this week, hopefully.
Nice.
And yeah, here's just
so the fees meaning like trading fees, right? So if you trade $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, a 0.30% fee is 3 cents, right? Or something, or $3 rather, not 3 cents.
Yeah, I believe so.
Or no, it's actually less than that. Never mind. It's actually much less than that. I can't math.
Yeah, I think it's but yeah, Grayscale's is like extremely high, so that was like a huge fee that people were.
Oh wow!
And I guess it's still going to be 1.5%. So like we'll see.
Wow, that's actually pretty steep. Yeah, so for $1,000, that would be $1.50, or no, $10.50. Okay, yeah,
So I wonder if this shows that like the providers that are offering it just like feel really strongly it's going to be such like a hyped, exciting product, and they just really want to just outcompete everyone on like just who can offer the lowest fees. So some of them might even be like not making super killer margins on this, but they just want to capture as many people as they can because they feel it's going to be such a strong narrative going forward. Maybe it's like one.
It's about the volume, right? So like if you lower your fees by half, but you get 5 times the volume, then you're making more money. So I mean, it does make sense, and I'm all for it. I mean, that's really good. That's what we want, right? That's what competition is supposed to do. Is supposed to lower prices. So that's excellent.
Yeah, and then basically just some of the fallout. So, they're looking at just the price action right after this announcement, and there's, of course, there's the speculation about market manipulation. So, I mean, not really much to say there. Probably will never be investigated, but certainly like a odd concern. And from Gabriel Shapiro, just kind of reiterating this old tweet from October from Gary. This is a reminder to secure your financial accounts as well, protect against identity theft and fraud. Remember to use strong passphrases or passwords. And then, of course, if they're saying they're hacked, he is not following those rules. And then, I saw this image posted. Just
wow, that's pretty great. I haven't seen this.
Yeah.
So for those who are just listening, we're looking at a list of Solana meme coins that are all related to like the SEC and the ETF. Fake ETF approved. SEC is the ticker. SEC Classic. Oh my God. Oh,
it's amazing. Yeah. And then from Mert, just like I wake up, there's another PSYOP every single day. And then which I think is fair. Like the more and more that you just are listening to the different narratives and like watching what's happening, it's like I see why people think this way. They're very skeptical of everything. And then then lower here, there's just a GIF of like these marmots, like or no, there's sheep or something. They're just like flying,
flying. I really think the lesson for people here is don't use too much leverage. If you longed into this announcement 100x, and then now you find out it's fake and it went against you, you're liquidated now, and that sucks. Just if you're gonna take leverage, just don't take too much. It's just all that's my advice. Don't go 100x long on things, because this stuff does happen, and it's really frustrating. It would be really frustrating to get knocked out of a trade due to some stupid like this.
Absolutely. So next, I figured we could maybe do brief coverage of just the Ethereum vision for 2024.
Sure.
So basically, Vitalik every year has been posting this flow chart, this huge, hard to understand flow chart of all these various components of their upgrades. So the merge, the surge, the scourge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge. So I guess they're just memeing with the names. So back in 2022, this was their roadmap. And basically, they rolled out the merge. I believe that was last year. And, they're basically slowly implementing all these other things. So we're going to have the EIP 4844 that's getting close. And then basically they're moving towards sharding and kind of like cleaning up all these other aspects to like make modularity more smooth. And then here, basically, we see progress and where they are. And then, EIP 4844, it's a lot closer to completion here. So I think it's fair to say that we will hopefully get that release very soon. So 4844 is the next hyped update where it will separate data blobs from the primary market for gas. So I remember hearing at like the Stanford blockchain conference over the summer where supposedly Arbitrum is spending like $100 million a year on gas fees, just hosting their roll-up checkpoints to Ethereum. So all those checkpoints, I think that thesis is proving itself out now, as a lot of these layer 2s are submitting blobs to Ethereum, but those blobs are sharing block space with like an NFT drop or meme coins. So those blobs get expensed up, and then users on those L2s start feeling those costs. So that's why layer 2s still aren't like super, super cheap yet. Mm-hmm. And so the theory is that, by separating the blobs into their own little sort of piece, I guess, of the block, you can achieve more scaling. So that's the main thing here with the surge. And then there's all sorts of other things that, I guess.
So the next big thing is the Dankun upgrade, right? Isn't that coming up in February or March or something?
Yes, that is. So I'm not sure exactly what's being covered in that upgrade, but that will be coming out soon. So and then he discusses single slot finality as being like a priority for them. So because right now we don't have that. So there is ability for blocks to be reorganized, and you have like front runners and all sorts of MEV activities going on here, because technically you don't have single block finality. And I think in this case they equate like slots to blocks. So it takes a lot longer for Ethereum to achieve finality. So it looks like they're looking at addressing that. So it's a pretty cool thread. Won't go into all of it right now, but we'll see kind of how they.
Yeah, we can include this thread in the show notes, the roadmap. It's a pretty good thread if you're into Ethereum and where things are headed.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. What else we got here? Yeah, another thing that I thought would be interesting to cover. So last week, fortunately, you weren't able to make it, but there's at Station 3, they did a panel with a bunch of L1's. So I'd say it's like pretty good turnout overall. Like when they have these events, maybe like 100 people or something. And
nice.
Yeah, basically what they had attend were Osmosis Chain, Solana, Thor Chain, another chain called Zion or Burnt. I don't know exactly. I don't know how they're exactly related to each other, and then they also had.
These happen once a month, right? The beginning of the month?
Yeah, once a month they have these community meetups. And
this is Station 3, and it's a co-work space in New York City.
Trying to like replace, or I guess they have just officially replaced Empire DAO for the meetups that were going on over there. So this is a crypto-focused co-working space that got revamped after COVID. And right now there's a lot of crypto startups that are there, and they're running like a lot of events that are crypto-centric. And then also Injective, Cardano, and then Dora Hacks were there too. Nice. So I figured I could rattle off the main takeaways that I got from that.
Sure.
Chat through any interesting thoughts from that. But yeah, so Dora Hacks essentially is like an organization in the Cosmos ecosystem that they run validators on different chains. And I believe their business model is to run validators at 100% commission. And they take all the funds from those networks and ecosystems and they fund hackathons and do grants there. So I personally have never participated in one of these hackathons, but yeah, I mean, they claim they have a huge developer community involved, but yes, they were one of the people that were there. They're trying to do this governance chain that's connected to IBC. And then, yeah, we have Injective, which is a very DeFi focused protocol. Like that's their kind of core narrative that they are trying to build modularity for. So they're trying to specifically build plugins for order books and options. And they have a single block finality to mitigate against front running. So I don't know. Have you ever used Injective before?
I've purchased Injective and I've staked it, but I haven't actually used anything on. So full disclosure, I do own Injective. I do know that it's meant for DeFi. It's like they're trying to build some, DeFi modular blockchain, and it kind of gets lumped in with Solana and even Say to some extent, but they do things differently. Like they're doing the same thing just in different ways, essentially. But I'm not sure at a deep level like what differs all the chains from each other.
Right.
I know it's on Cosmos though. It's a Cosmos chain. That much I know.
Yeah, IBC definitely. Yeah, so definitely keeping an eye on this one. And then Zion, mentioned this before. They're like an account abstraction focused layer one. So they're really just going all in on the thesis that users don't care at all about like multi-chain interactions, like getting different wallets for different chains, having to pay gas fees for different chains, or like if they want to do a swap in one token, they have to have available native token to support that maybe ERC20 swap. And social recovery issues. So they're just kind of going all in on abstracting all of that away from the user and making a very consumer friendly chain overall. I don't know exactly. I think they're early, but they do seem to have some pretty strong backing. And so, I mean, I like the concept overall of account abstraction. I haven't used any apps yet that are taking advantage of it, but I really like the concept of separating signers from accounts, and I think that's like critical for adoption.
Interesting. Yeah, XLR is a big project. They're involved in this too. Yeah. I like the name Burnt. Zion.burnt. I'm burnt just for following all these L1s, to be honest. It's just it's getting I have kind of L1 fatigue a little bit, to be honest. It's just there's so many to follow now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And let's see, Osmosis. So Osmosis chain. They have a DEX, which
that's how I remember it. Is like the Cosmos DEX. Yeah. But I know they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff too now, right?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of different things here. So I guess they have this interchain DEX, which allows it's a permissionless protocol, IBC, where you can basically talk to different blockchains. So you don't need to, it doesn't need to just be a Cosmos chain to use IBC, which I didn't know about because apparently Cardano and Solana are having IBC integrations coming soon.
Mm-hmm. So, that's true.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's, I guess, interesting. And let's see. And then, anyone can plug into it. So whereas like Wormhole, which is like a bridge, that's like a permissioned bridge. So you need to, gain access from a centralized authority to communicate to Wormhole, which communicates to other protocols. So obviously it's permissionless, but I think Osmosis chain, what they were saying is it is a permissioned chain, but they want it to be a very like white glove ecosystem where you have maybe 10 to 20 really well thought out high quality projects that are like dApps on their layer one. And yeah, I guess Osmos Dex is on their Osmosis chain layer one. And so yeah, I guess that was, interesting to hear about them. He was making some claims about like how Cosmos is just as like decentralized as Ethereum, which I didn't really have time or energy to fully suss out. I think like my experience with like a lot of the app chains on Cosmos, like they are just like very centralized, and it's usually the same like few node operators that own the majority of the networks. So, but yeah, maybe if you extracted it out and you like calculated like these like Nakamoto coefficients, like you would find a similar value because, I guess Lido has there are a lot of centralized providers on Ethereum as well. So that's why I'm kind of not totally sure about the validity of the claim. Like they may be right.
I think that is somewhat true because I remember when I was doing, like I was playing with nodes on Cosmos almost a year ago, and it was like, the same few node operators, like King Nodes was on like every single one. Polka something, or Polkachu. Polkachu is another node operator that was like all over the place. It was like on every chain. So yeah, that could be true. It's possible.
Right. Yeah. And then the last two, which I thought were pretty interesting. So then, actually, we did have Cardano as well. I didn't get a ton of information from Cardano. I think it was kind of, the conversation didn't really like flow as much to the Cardano side of the room. So, but I did get this person's information. He's on the research team there. And like, yeah, I asked if he'd be interested to come on the podcast sometime. So it'd be great to have him on maybe in like a few weeks and like get the nitty gritty info on what's going on in Cardano. But yeah, overall, haven't heard too much from them. And then, yeah, Solana is apparently the most active chain for USDC at the moment. Visa's using it for remittance. And then there's like Shopify Pay plugins coming that are already live that have like a lot lower fees apparently than like, I think, traditionally Stripe, something along those lines. So I think that's like, yeah, they're proving out a use case here. And then also the DePIN network got discussed a little bit, which I guess is built off of Helium.
Oh, so that's, yeah, the Helium network is one of them, like the cell network.
Okay.
That's Helium, right? HNT. Yeah.
Yeah. Is DePIN like a general term, or is it specifically this?
It's a general term that's essentially like decentralized infrastructure. So like Akash falls under this. That's a Cosmos project too. Render, that's on Solana now. It's like a GPU. Then there's Shadow, which is like a decentralized storage. Filecoin, I guess, is one that could also be DePIN. So yeah, it's one of these narratives that's come up that's like decentralized, basically like decentralized cloud infrastructure or any decentralized infrastructure.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely getting hyped up and had like some interesting conversations that night about, well, yeah, I think their cell phone plan is like $20 a month. And I believe like Saga already ties into that naturally because it's built on Solana. And then, yeah, you would, get paid to, in the offering of your 5G antennas that they mail you, you like put them up on like your roof or anywhere in your apartment, and other phones will like plug into that network that you create, and you're no longer beholden to these cell phone service provider companies that are selling your data to the NSA or have complete control over your connectivity essentially. So yeah, I think it's like a great concept and like a really great use case for crypto.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really interested in like the AI compute products that are coming out too, because one of the biggest challenges is the GPU compute. There's just not enough. So, and like AWS, for example, that's one of them right now as a GPU provider, but they have to enter, let's say NVIDIA releases a new card, AWS has to go through this very lengthy contract process to like buy the cards, get them in the data centers, load them up. It's a long process. Whereas, someone could innovate on this and get those at much cheaper price, or not, maybe not cheaper prices, but actually, no, they do offer them at cheaper prices and they can get the cards faster than AWS can. So there is definitely some room for innovation here in that space. So I'm definitely keeping watch on what's going on there.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see like if there is a way for this type of stuff to compete, like in the AI space. If there can be some middle ground between full cloud, which is like very expensive, extremely expensive and slow, versus like a bare metal server. There's some in between where you can maybe like pick and choose like different providers that are competing maybe more efficiently. That could be maybe that would help the space out overall. Yeah, and then the last thing, Thorchain had an interesting chat with one of the core devs there, and yeah, apparently they're doing like up to 5% of like global Bitcoin volume, like not even just like decentralized volume, like just all volume. And they're not an IBC. Like I guess they're built on Tendermint, but they're technically not IBC at the moment. And yeah, I think it's just like an exciting chain overall, and they seem to have successfully apparently deflected a kind of DOJ situation where they were being accused of kind of like facilitating money launderers and mixing and all that stuff, but they actually are so decentralized that like they couldn't even enforce or have an impact on the protocol if they wanted to maybe block certain addresses and things like that. So that basically kind of no longer occurred essentially like that. Like they everything kind of ran as usual, and there was no interruption to like their processes and the protocol. Apparently Tornado Cash ran into some issues because the creators of the protocol held enough tokens to meaningfully influence the governance of the protocol. So that may have had impact of why Tornado Cash was actually, sanctioned pretty heavily, whereas something like Thorchain is just sufficiently decentralized to operate without worry.
Well, they're also different products too, right? Like Tornado Cash is specifically for trying to hide where your money's going, right? Whereas Thorchain is a different. It's offering something else. I haven't used Thorchain too much, but it's from what I remember, it wasn't for just like mixing up where your money's coming from, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, Thorchain itself isn't like a mixing; it's just an exchange. Essentially, it's just like a decentralized exchange. So that process is still transparent, everything on there. But what you do on the other chains is like kind of up to you. But they have no part in that. So. Yeah. Did you have any other comments on that part, or should we dive into picks of the week?
I'm good on that. I really would love to try out some of these deep in projects, especially with like, the more I play with some AI stuff, like if I need compute, I think Akasha could be something pretty cool. But
right.
But yeah, that's it.
Try that out at some point and actually see like.
Yeah, it's done pretty well. Yeah, and then this is done pretty well, and then Render is another one. RNDR, that one had pretty insane performance over the last year or so. I think it got down to like 20 cents or something, when FTX crashed, and then it climbed all the way back up to $4, $5 at one point. So it's pretty epic.
Yeah. What about Tau? What's going on?
Yeah. So yeah, Tau corrected quite a bit from, it reached like 400, and then it corrected it got to below 200 for like an hour on Sunday, and then now it's clawing its way back up. So it's looking like it's bottomed, but I'm just gonna give it a little more time before I put more money in. But full disclosure, I own Tau. Yeah, this is I do like this project. It's essentially allowing you to, like, a subnet. A subnet's essentially like a model, like a product, right? So like and I would like to, I could get someone from there, like maybe one of the validators on the show and interview them to see what the process is. But essentially, like a subnet's like, you could build like a model. Like let's say you're doing text classification. You build a whole subnet around that. And then there's miners, which are models themselves that, essentially like let's say you want to ask the models a question, right? And then all the miners answer the question. And then whoever provides the best answer is the validators decide who has the best answer, right? And there's some kind of like feedback where like, you train the models this way. It's kind of like a competition between the miners to see who can produce the best results. And in that way, the model itself gets better because of that competition. And then there's a tau reward based on that. So I think it's like, I forget how much tau. I think it's like 4,200 a day right now. And it's distributed amongst all the different subnets. And they just activated subnets in the beginning of October. So it's only a few months in. So this is still it's a new project. I mean, it's only really been in operation for like 2 years. And, but I quite like it. To be honest, like the more I read about it, the more it's like a rabbit hole. And the more I'm thinking like this could be something that's big. But, it's also risky. Like it's having some existential problems right now. Like one is like miners will come in and copy parameters from other miners that are actually successful, and then we'll wrap it around like bullshit models, and they'll get rewarded for that for like a brief amount of time. So they're having this problem where like people are copying parameters and stuff. So I mean, there are the legitimate concerns, and the team is still trying to figure out how to fix these things. But I mean, if they do figure it out, I mean, this could be a big project. But yeah, it's risky,
Yeah. A lot of L1s, I think, kind of when they launch initially, they are like really hyped up, and there's a lot of funding and all sorts of stuff, and then it's when you're kind of several years in, when like the dust has settled and you're starting to get real usage, that like you gotta everything starts getting tested, and you start seeing like everything start to potentially collapse, or like maybe not collapse fully, but you see everything gets stressed to the max.
Yep, for sure.
So it happens, I think, to every protocol at a certain point. I guess it's like, an important part of maturing as a chain. But yeah, it looks like they're Polkadot here.
Yeah, that's where they started, is Polkadot, and for like the app side. And then I actually think they were running on XRP as the actual blockchain for some time, but they're moving off of that now, I think, or I may be wrong there, but I saw XRP somewhere at some point. That's like how they started the chain. Yeah.
This is interesting. Yeah. I mean, I remember the only time I worked with Dot was Compound Gateway. It was like for a hot minute, Compound Finance wanted to like launch its own blockchain, and they were calling it Gateway. And then, they were building out this proof of concept with Polkadot. And I remember like messing around with like, a dashboard that looked very similar to this. And it was like, it was pretty challenging, and it was not like Cosmos. Like Cosmos projects are a lot easier to spin up as a validator generally. And Polkadot seemed to have a lot of just like uncomfortable UX things when it came to setting it up. But maybe they've like, changed and upgraded a lot of things since then. And I don't think Gateway is like active currently. But yeah, no, it's an interesting little thing to note here. Don't really see too much Dot stuff nowadays in the news, but
yeah, I think they just used it to bootstrap the project, and then they're gonna just try to get off of it, as they build out the actual tech, and then they're gonna build all the stuff around it. Right. But I mean, I when you look around in crypto, like if you've ever read Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, excellent book. If anyone out there hasn't read it, like you see a lot of like 1 to N type projects, like with DeFi, especially, like so many copycats, or even like with L1 chains now, I feel like some of them are just like, they're kind of like 1 to N, but this seems like a really like a 0 to 1 idea, this bit tensor thing. And if it works out, it could capture a lot of value if it does work out. I don't see any other project that's like this out there right now. So, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
Very nice. Yeah. Shall we move on to picks of the week?
All right, you want to go first?
Sure, let's do it. So I will pull up the chart for. It's not maybe not super out of left field here, but I'm going to go back to Rune. I don't think I've picked them before since we started this podcast, but yeah, I feel like after seeing this person, I've met this person twice, who's the core dev at ThorChain, and yeah, really smart guy, really understands like the ecosystem as a whole extremely well. And they've been building and I think consistently gaining volume over time. And yeah, overall, I really like the concept that they have of just basically allowing native token swaps. So you would swap any token you have into the ThorChain protocol for Rune, their token, and then that Rune can be swapped out to any other native token. So you don't have to deal with wrap tokens or anything like that. And they have just one application on it, ThorSwap, to my knowledge. And, they've had some like growing pains in the past. But overall, I think as a concept, I think it's an interesting chain. And yeah, it's my current pick of the week.
Nice. All right. I think I'm just going to continue on and also say Tau. I had something else written, but I've already went into it, and why not? So I'm going to go with Tau on this one. I think that the price is actually pretty decent from where it was at. It's cooled down quite a bit. They have a lot of things planned. They have something called dynamic Tau coming out, which is like I think a mechanism for allocating Tau to subnets. Is changing. So they're definitely experimenting still with like the incentive mechanism and how subnets get rewarded for Tau and whatnot. So it's still very much in flux, but I'm seeing a lot of progress on the team. People there seem really smart. Everyone really wants to help each other. So just based on that alone, I think it's going to continue to do really well.
Awesome. So, yeah, let's get that validator on.
Yeah. We need someone on here to go on because it's hard to understand, and I think that's going to be one of their biggest challenges is to get people just to understand what the hell this thing is.
Very cool. Awesome.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, not much at the moment. I would say kind of off to definitely rocky start to the year, but I think we will see this Bitcoin ETF announcement go through in the positive, affirmative direction tomorrow. I think it's about time. So that will be a really exciting day. I mean, just conceptually, I would say very excited for that. And yeah, but it's a rocky year. A lot of things going on politically and on the macro level, which, we might not like ride straight into this like super fiery bull market like maybe we thought in the fall going to the new year. But overall, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of activity still and a lot of upgrades coming up on the horizon for a lot of big protocols. So yeah, overall feeling a little nervous for 2024, but I would say like net positive.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I would have to echo that. I think overall things are trending in a positive direction, but it won't go up in a straight line. Just from this past week of the new year, there's even been some hacks, that have occurred, and then you have this tweet thing. So yeah, things are going to get pretty, as more money flows into this and more attention flows into this, I feel like you're going to see more hacks and faked tweets and all this other crazy stuff start to happen. So many
SIM swaps, I think the sushi swap guy, I forget where he's at now, but yeah, I saw he got swapped and I'm like very scared. I don't even know how it happens, but
yeah, I don't either. I use a Google Voice number, so that's one way to get around it is using a Google Voice number. But other than that, I don't know, but that is a scary one.
Totally
right. So just maybe use a Google Voice number, change your passwords, use 2-factor. What else? Don't click suspicious links. Phishing is getting very sophisticated. They're it's getting quite fancy what they're doing. So just be careful. And but overall positive.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, man. Yeah. Episode 4. I would say we're good to go. And yeah, we'll definitely get on those guests that we chatted about. We're going to start getting some interviews.